up with us. Okay, colleagues, I would want to welcome you once again for this afternoon session. As per our program, I know afternoon sessions are always hard to maneuver, but let's try to go through it as effectively as possible. One, I'm going to request each one of you that is attending in the next 30 minutes, please try to send to, I would want to pick on somebody, a session, send it to, no, just post your names, first name and last name, and your email address to the chat room so that we can create for you accounts in the learning management system where the content is. So I would want to request you, each one of you do that. And probably, Amitu, don't you have that information in your database after them registering?
We have but for everybody who registers, not necessarily attendance, yes.
So I would want to give these ones who are attending the access. So probably give us your first name, last name, and the email address, colleagues. There is somebody who is taking note of all this, and they will try to create for you accounts in the learning management system, which you will access having all these resources we are using for the training. So do that in the next 30 minutes because that person will allow you, will come to take you into that session at probably around 3:30. I hope that is clear to all of us. So colleagues, going back to our agenda, we are now going to move into the area of first steps to effective e-learning. That one would want to get us to a certain level. Just a minute. Trying to pull up. Colleagues, I'm sharing my screen right away. I guess each one of you can see my screen right now. So as we already noted in the morning session, having gone through a bit of that pedagogy, why we really need to do things the right way as we venture into the online mode of teaching and learning. There are certain things that we need to do right. If we are going to be able to develop all the good content we need to develop, then we have to do certain things right. And therefore, we are going to take you through. Why would you be doing that you do when it comes to developing content? Why do you develop content in the form of multimedia, for example? What you need is digital content. Why not textual content and multimedia? Or why textual content and not multimedia? You need to understand reasons why people do certain things when it comes to digital content development. So this is what we are going to go through for all this. We're going to go through what the reality is and then problems with content design and then effective content design, and then we'll move down up to a certain exercise we would want to undertake. I keep on emphasizing this because it's very, very important. Let it be something that keeps on popping into our eyes all the time. That it all depends upon you, the teacher, to be able to do things right. The students are just recipients of your art of teaching and learning. The way you design that is what they will utilize. So you as a teacher, you need to be very, very, very capacity built to be able to deliver. What it is today, when you look at e-learning, I know many of you may actually say, this has just come because of COVID and all that. Some of you may be thinking that way. But what you need to understand that e-learning is not a new pedagogical construct. It's not something that has just been born. But what we are seeing here is that advancement in technology takes place. People are looking at how different services can be offered more effectively than how they are being offered. So what we see we are doing in e-learning, actually we are simply adapting teaching methods that have been long used in the traditional setting. And we try to improve them by using technology. And that's how e-learning comes to be. We are not changing quite a lot. Let's take examples. A teacher would go on the whiteboard or blackboard, start writing all sorts of content and all that. And the students will be in the back there writing using the pen and filling up their books. Today we are saying you can go to a learning management system and find that content there and take it without you wasting your pen, you wasting your book, and utilize it, the same content I would have given you on the blackboard or whiteboard. In the traditional classroom, teachers always grouped us into the class and say, that corner, ABCD go in that corner. The other corner, you in the middle, 5, 6 groups within the traditional classroom. Here, we're actually saying the groups are virtually created and everybody sent to their own groups. So what is changing? It is the means of realizing the same that is changing. But the particular activity still remains the same. It is how the activity is being implemented. So what we need to understand that when we talk about e-learning, it's just now bringing into a new delivery method to get us undertake the activities we're doing previously. So it's not very new as people think. But what we need to understand as we venture in there, what technology allows us to do, it allows us to be more focused and more, I would say, student-oriented, that we can be able to deliver a class based on a course and learner needs. That if a learner needs ABCD, a course can be tailored to them. And it can be done in relation to the delivery methods that are in existence. So these are realities we have today that we have to live with and we have to abide by as we move forward. Also, we need to understand, you should have noted it that when we are closed down all over Africa and the rest of the world, and the entire world was telling us, please, education institutions, go online, continue teaching and all that. My first question I can probably pose to you who are listening to me, at that particular time when we were venturing to go in online, had our learners changed? or we still had the Judes attending, Amitus attending, and so on and so forth attending. Had they changed? They were the same people. So what you need to understand that as you move online, your learners have not changed. That's the reality. They are the same learners. But what is going to change is the new delivery method you are going to give them so that they can be able to acquire the knowledge that we are acquiring before you introduced E, and now they have to acquire it as you introduce E. So as we venture into E, we need to be let learners get to see us the way we are. We need to be consistent. The moment learners don't realize your consistency, they will start doubting you and don't understand you. They need to have certain expectations of you. And when they get less of that, then they are able to question and say, oh, probably there's something. Remember, they are virtually out there. They need trust. Trust online is very, very important. So when they start seeing certain things differing from the usual way, they will now start believing, is it still Jude or somebody else? So consistency within your online class is very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. So historically, what has been known about course design is that many people have been pushing lecturers to go online, start doing or go online, do ABCD and all that. And in the end, you find halfway the journey, the entire project is failing. And there are certain reasons why it is failing. Reason is, one, many of these projects, e-projects, start at implementation stage. Why am I saying implementation stage? The person has been teaching and he has content in a Word file. They tell the person, please, you need to go online, please. They get all the Word document, dump it on a learning management system, and it's, we are already online, we are all doing online and all that. Dead at the beginning. People never take time to analyze and design. The different stages are always overlooked. The analysis and design of your content is very, very important. Before you author, taking it online is what we call authoring. That is the implementation stage. You author content that is appropriate for the online version. So if you don't analyze at the beginning and you design the content in the way you would want to design it, then you'll get a problem when it comes to the delivery. We are going to be looking at what do we understand by analysis and design and all that. If you are unable to understand the rationale of these learners, why are these learners coming into class? Are they distance learners? Are they certificate students? Are they degree? Are they postgraduate? Are they here for the sake of simply acquiring knowledge and off they go? What is the rationale why you're going to deliver this learning? Because the university has introduced a learning management system, it's a technology, they simply tell everybody, go online and start doing ABCD. We are becoming more technologically driven than having some grounding principles of theory underpinning what we do. So it's not all about focusing on ourselves on the tools available, but understanding the suitability of the tools we are going to deploy for learning. If you're going to use discussion forum, as an issue was raised in the past session, WhatsApp, why are we using WhatsApp and all that? What is the suitability of using WhatsApp? And in what particular environments and scenarios? If your students have not been built capacity on to respect the use of WhatsApp, why do you get them there in the first place? What do you expect anyway? You've not built their capacity to handle that and utilize that. Why do you get them there? So we get these scenarios that we focus on the tools that are available and say, oh, the other people are using Facebook, the other people are using a discussion forum, chat room, let us also go and use them. But are they suitable for you? So all these are underlooked. The initial sensitization on the use of these tools to both students and the staff sometimes is underlooked. And therefore, people do not have the grounding, do not have the understanding of how to use what and when to use it. You stage a chat session for the students to use, and it's supposed to be asynchronous, and therefore you are expecting the students to be there, but you don't inform the students that they are supposed to be there from such and such a time. So your information you pass on to students is not good. And then you end up alone in the chat session. Whom do you blame? You were not sensitized on how to use these tools or technologies. So when we talk about the requirements that are needed in any course content development process, we talk about things like the learning needs. What do our learners need? And these needs can come at a different level, as we shall see in the coming slides. When learners come into class, they come with a certain competence. They come with prior knowledge. You may find that there are some people who are coming right away from working to the classroom, and they've been practicing. So the prior knowledge they bring to the class is different. But at the end of the day, they are studying with somebody who has just come from secondary. So as a teacher, how do you balance these two people in the classroom? This is where your art comes in, your pedagogy comes in. We are all vast different. We are in the same session now, but our understanding is very different because we are different types of learners. As you're aware, we have what we call the tactile learners. We have the auditory learners. We have the visual learners. So as we prepare content delivery, how are we taking care of all these types of people, all these types of learners? So it is important for us to understand that we have the content with us. How do we pedagogically structure this content so that it fits and suits all the different types of learners that we have in the class, probably the ones even we do not know. So that means as we venture into developing this particular content, we need to have a clear mind with us. We need to know that as I actually develop this concept, by the time a learner takes this content or goes through the entire course content, how would we expect these so-called outcomes for the course so that they know ABCD will be achieved? So you put all this into consideration. So it's not a matter of copying and pasting from a Word document to, no, that will not be effective content. That's why it is said not all content which is online is effective content for learning. Because the way it has been instructionally developed is not one that facilitates learning to happen. Apart from when it's for lifelong learning. It's a newspaper that has been posted on there. So we need to be very careful. So when we talk about analyzing existing courses, because it is what needs to start. What is entailed in there? One, we need to be able to identify important techniques and methods in use. Let's take an example, the course module. I hope you have, if you took a pen and paper, write with you there. As I talk about this, you start evaluating yourself. Can you identify important techniques and methods already in use by people, by you, as you teach that module you are teaching? Try to write them down. Yes, I'm not with you there to see what you're writing, but try to write down and say, okay, for my module, these are the techniques and methods that we use for teaching. Put them down. And when you're thinking about this, there are certain levels under which you're going to deploy these techniques and methods. These levels of learning depend. Some people come with prior knowledge, some will come with a lot of this competence with them, and so on and so forth. So when you're thinking about their teaching, you have to deploy certain approaches that will facilitate learning to happen for that person who has come with a lot of competence, so that they don't feel left out. So when you're thinking about the approach to take, it guides you the method of delivery you will utilize. If you are thinking about this person who has a lot of competence and the approach you are taking is more of a student-centered way approach. So the question would be, what delivery method are you going to be able to utilize as we move along? We are going to dwell into some of these pedagogical aspects in the coming slides, so you don't have to worry. But the issue is that by you doing all this, is for you to create in your head a sort of what we call a framework that formulates approaches for developing this online course, knowing that this approach moves with this delivery method for this level of learning, and so on and so forth. So in your specific class, you actually sit down and think about it and know, okay, I think all the students I have are coming from secondary. There is none who comes from. So most probably their level of learning is probably they come at 20%, assuming they've been able to read from or to learn from YouTube and all that. So that means the approach I'm going to take will be ABCD. And therefore, if I'm taking this approach, that means these are the delivery methods I have to deploy. So in such a situation, you sort of create a framework that when you now move into the actual content implementation, You know what to do when and what to apply, because you've already established that sort of framework to guide you. So getting to, you remember when I talked about here the levels of learning, we need to understand that some of our students are returning to school because they've been requested to have a degree there. Some of them are bored at their workplaces. They don't have a lot to do. And they say, let me add another degree. Some of them, it is that they need to be able to move on to the next level. So they are coming to class to attend is for different reasons. So understanding that already tells you that even what they come with into the class, the prior knowledge, the preconceptions are very different. And therefore we should be asking ourselves, do these people have the same ability when they come into class? And do they learn the same way? The answer is no. And if the answer is no, that means you are not going to simply create a certain sort of content to cater for everybody you have in your class. And the only way you can be able to deal with it is to blend. This is where blending comes in, so that if one does not fall into this side, they are probably falling in the other side. And everybody has been taken care of. And therefore you are not leaving anybody behind. So analysis is very, 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 very important as you venture to go online. Let's dig further deeper into the learners, because they are the people we are going to deliver to. One, we need to understand that the learners are different and they learn at different levels. They have different learning styles. Also, we need to understand that as we venture into teaching students, if it's the first class they are attending, they will listen to you and all sorts of things and give them reference books and all that. If you picked the levels of learning for each of these students and you stored it somewhere and you think this is what you will start with the next session, you will be mistaken. Once they leave that class, many of them are going to go digging for more information, learning ahead of you, trying to discuss an ABCD. In the end, their patterns are going to completely change. They will come back into that class, your next class, with already prior knowledge on what you're going to teach. They may be ahead of you 3 classes, all 4 classes. After all, for them, they have the time. So we need to be very careful and understand that learning patterns of these learners keep on changing with time. I've already talked about the adult returnees. We need to be able to cater for them. So as we think about all these types of learners who come into the classroom, let's think about the approaches that can be offered there to utilize for this sort of people, because there are different levels and all that. The first approach that you need to know is what we call the surface learning approach. And this surface learning approach involves information reproduction, which means that what you give to the learners is what they may reproduce for you. It is to surface. It does not require people to really think beyond what you've given them. It involves about memorizing facts and procedures. And the intention of this surface learning is for students to cope with the set content and tasks. This surface learning is whereby without the teacher, almost learning cannot take place. It exists out there and people use it. Such students may not move forward without the teacher because they're expecting everything from the teacher. So it's more of teacher-centered. The teacher is a God. If we leave that and we move into another approach called strategic learning approach, this form of approach is all about achieving. Learners go out there to achieve. It's not simply reproducing what has been given to them. They want to go beyond, they want to achieve. They're strategic in nature. And the intention for this is to form well-structured and efficient study methods. That the study methods you deploy here are aimed at getting these people to get beyond what has been given to them by the lecturer. Go out there and dig for more with support from the lecturer. So a bit of some autonomy is given to them so that they can be able to really become sort of independent learners. Then the third approach, which lies out there, is what we call the deep learning approach. Deep learning approach involves what we call knowledge transformation. That these learners, when they come across the content that is being delivered to them, it's not for them to take through, to take in, but the idea is for them to transform completely this into their own understanding. And therefore, less is given by the teacher. The teacher is there to more introduce, and then the learner go out there and transform this and clearly be able to understand what they are learning. And the intention for this is to understand the content for oneself and develop awareness of the subject. Oneself is not a one fit for all. Here, learners go and do what they call construction of their own knowledge, all understanding of what the lecturer introduced to them. So these are more independent learners. And this is where you'll find that they can go there and dig deeper. And they will even find that they will find content that the lecturer has never found. And when they share it during presentation, you say, wow, this is a very good presentation of this topic. And you're wondering where the students got all this. Because they went and dug deeper. So these three approaches is where we fall when we are teaching. The question is, what are you using for your learners? And is it the right one for this particular era? We need to understand that as we dive into utilizing those approaches, we need to design these courses in such a way that they can accommodate the approaches. Once they can they can accommodate the approaches, then they will dictate to us the delivery methods which are supposed to be used. Because there are certain delivery methods which are attached to the approaches, as we are going to see. So as we venture into what we call flexible, student-centered, and self-directed learning. There are several delivery methods which are aimed at interactivity and stimulation of the actual learning that happens. The first delivery method which exists is what we call the transmission. Transmission, as you hear the word transmitting, it is coming from one place to another. You as a lecturer, you are aimed at transmitting knowledge. Here, the emphasis is on directed instruction. I give you an instruction, do. It's about task analysis. It's about reinforcement. And what this means, that many of the learning strategies used under transmission are fixed in nature. They're fixed by the lecturer, by the teacher. You either do this or learning will not happen. So there is a lot of innovativeness from the side of the student. And we look at the teacher as more of a transmitter. They present knowledge, they are knowledge presenters. And therefore, without this teacher in the classroom, whether online or traditional, learning will not take place at all, because the transmitter is absent. So what they usually do is they provide the learner with all what they need. And if they don't do so, learning doesn't take place. That's under transmission. We have another one, delivery method called transaction. Under transaction, you see, transaction is give me and I give you. There is a transaction happening. You give and I give, you give and I give. It's not one-sided. The emphasis here is on linking, all connecting, all integrating ideas that are coming from different sources. The lecturer brings certain idea, the students go read from wherever they've read, bring some ideas, get into a discussion forum, integrate these ideas, and then you find that there's linking, connecting, integrating all these things that are coming from the different people out there, whether they are learners, whether they are teachers, whether it is learner and the learner. There's a transaction happening. And therefore, as we venture into a transactional form of delivery, what we need to understand is that the learning strategies are more flexible in nature. And they are student-centered completely, because you would want the student to participate into their learning. So the focal point is more on the student. So the teacher becomes more of a facilitator. They provide something initially, the students get into. This is why when you have, for example, a discussion forum, you simply present a topic to guide the students. And then you allow the students to engage in there. As they engage, you are there to facilitate. Keep them on track. As they completely absorb all, accomplish what they are discussing, it is you, the facilitator, to take them to the next, probably, level of discussion. So what happens, you as a facilitator, you simply give some concepts and expect learners to get the rest by themselves. That's what you do. So you sort of give a bit of some autonomy to their learning. And that's why it sort of becomes student-centered. The last delivery method is what we call transformation. as you hear the word transformation, you transform. It was this, you act on it and it becomes this. It was A, it is worked on, it transforms into B. So there is a complete change over. This sort of delivery method emphasis is on the individual constructing meaning of what has been given to them. What does this mean to you as a person? You go into a class, instead of talking, you simply post something and then discuss, or go and search about it. You come into class and in groups, give topics and say, please go find information about this. Topic 1, this group. Topic 2, this group. Topic 3, this group. Topic 4, this group. Go find more information about it. Let's come into the next class and each group presents. First group comes and presents very well topic 1. At the end of the day, the lecturer simply summarizes and said, all was done by your colleagues. Transformation. They didn't give you anything. You went and completely transformed only that topic into massive content that has been presented to the students, your fellow students. So it's about constructing meaning, understanding by them analyzing. It involves critical thinking and reflection. So you as a teacher, you become more of an advisor. You advise students on what to do. And therefore you expect learners to do all for themselves as they try to master the area. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that not all these delivery methods work at all different levels. You may find that transformation cannot work, for example, at secondary school. Transaction may not work at secondary school, or it may work. You may find we are using more of transmission within our classes today, and when we are supposed to be using transaction and probably transformation. Of recent, I've heard people saying, international schools are teaching better than us. They have good curriculum, they have all sorts of things and all that. It's all about what they are doing here in the delivery methods. They're using more of transformation and transaction to train these students at an early age. That these students can go back home and even start searching the web for answers to be able to write a story about ABCD, so that when they next present it, it's what the lecturer or teacher wants to hear. Delivery method. So as institutions, we need to really sit down, rethink our curricula, and understand what delivery methods we want to use in order to generate a certain graduate. Do we need a graduate who is going to be a critical thinker? Or we need a graduate who is going to be even guided on the job on what to do without them innovatively thinking on how to get the job done? This is what we need to start thinking about. So as you prepare your content, it needs to be in a form that reflects the graduate you want to output at the end of the day. So to me, based on the training I've offered before and what I've seen, many institutions now today believe that when you do a blend of both transaction and transformation, it sort of can give you a graduate who is a critical thinker or closer to a critical thinker. A graduate that can construct meaning of what they have with them, than depending on what you have given them and call it, this is what it needs to be, cramming. So you clearly now try to see the relationship that tries to come together. If we are going to have transmission, how do we relate it with these different types of approaches? You'll find that transmission works so well with the surface learning. You'll find that strategic works so well with the transaction. And you'll find deep learning very connected with transformation. There is an interrelationship. So the approach you take will guide you on the delivery method you have to deploy. And at what level? That's why I told you at university level, it may be different. At secondary level, at primary level. Even at the level, if we are only having lifelong learners in your class, the approach and delivery methods may have to. The only thing you need to know, you need to understand. You need to understand what you really need to deploy. Okay, I need to move a bit faster. So the question is, how do you do it? Let's take an example. You're trying to blend here and there. You plan your entire week, you know what to do, and say, okay, I will need to have a start date for my course and end date. You need to understand it. My courses start from this date to this date. So you know the entire time. How many weeks? 15 weeks, 12 weeks, 13 weeks. You need to know the teaching load very proper. You need to estimate the class size. If I'm going to be teaching effectively and using a certain approach, using a delivery method, it works well with a certain number of students, and therefore I can be able to do ABCD. You need to be able to adopt a certain weekly model that sort of brings a lot of blend around you as you do the delivery. And now this, you completely embed it into your content instruction. For example, if you know that on the Monday, that's when you open up this particular topic. How are you going to be able to consider the entire topic within the entire week so that you have these students effectively learning? You can decide that on a Monday, I'll develop this content properly and embed in all the instruction that needs to be. I will know that I'm going to use ABCD activities, for example, discussion forum. When do I release it? I release it on a Monday. And then if I'm supposed to communicate to the students through an email activity, I do it. And then you start moving within the entire week. When it comes to Tuesday, you start the facilitation. Remember? You are facilitating all you can advise. As a facilitator, you do a different role than advising. Then Wednesday, can you continue with this facilitation? Thursday, what do you do? Friday, can you come out now and do more of an advisory role? Summarize what has been discussed, tell them ABCD and all that. In the end, you are sort of trying to blend different things together in terms of delivery method, depending on the type of learners you have within your class. So it is very important to first understand them, analyze your learners' requirements. In the end, you'll give, I know people may be thinking this is lots of work, but you do once this, you will enjoy it for the next 5-6 years before, without changing a lot, because learners are within this form. You keep on changing instructions here and there to accommodate new types of learners and things of that kind. I sense somebody has unmuted. I would want to request the muting to be done so that we don't get a lot of interruption. Thank you. Okay. So, colleagues, as we leave that, we're going to be more active in the next slides, as we shall try to really get to the bottom of doing that. But one thing you need to understand, that once we move into online, you need to really clearly understand that you have an online community. You may develop this content, place it there, and you know you've started the online class, and you don't have an online community following you. So for example, if you set out to use discussion forums, you need to clearly understand, identify the threads that are being posted and by who. You may find out of the 50 participants in your class, you are having only 5 people posting for the whole week. That means you set a completely wrong learning activity for your class. It is only 5 people that have benefited, and the 45 are nowhere to be seen. So you do not have an online class with you. They're not there. 5 people participating in a learning activity, you don't have that online class with you. Better change the strategy. If you have them in Zoom, you have the 50, and you go online, you have only 5 that are interacting. There is a problem which you need to address immediately. Either it is the learning activity not working for them, or you need to change it completely to a different delivery method for that activity you want to deliver. So you need to make sure that you have at least a bigger percentage of the same interaction that happens even when you have real-time interactions. This is to allow you understand that you actually have the class with you. So what makes this online activity? It has to be meaningful and purposeful. The one you stage, it could be a chat session, it could be a discussion forum, it could be, there are so many out there. You need to provide clear instructions for these people. You need to have a sense of direction for them. Ask a question and become a facilitator. When you see it has been thoroughly discussed, can you introduce another as a facilitator, and you get the discussion continue. When we talk about facilitation, as a facilitator or advisor, when it comes to advising, you need to provide leadership, focus, stimulation for the group to continue participating, supporting them here and there so that people are not bullied, all things of that kind. You need to be able to encourage this team building. But what you need to avoid giving them closed questions. Always encourage deeper levels of thinking when you are having these discussions. Try to encourage that, bring in this sense of feeling that they need to go deeper and think about what they are handling. Set clear outlines for the facilitation response time. If it's 1 hour, close it after 1 hour. If it's 2 hours, if it's 2 days, have set times for it. You cannot discuss forever, or you cannot have a learning activity forever. Whether it's a Zoom real-time activity, whether it is a discussion forum, whether it's a chat session, whether it is an assessment, whether it's a group work, you can never have it for the rest of the time. Now, what you're going to do, the rest of you attending, you're not going to do it, you do it in your time when you have individual time. To be able to test on yourself, you'll consider the course you are teaching this semester if you are teaching. Then look at your outline. And what you're going to do, you're going to conduct what we call a learning needs analysis of your course unit. We shall give you the form you are going to use. It's called Form 1. You use Form 1 to analyze your current course. So you'll address issues related to current learning processes that you are using because you already know what you're using. You already know what you're using, and therefore, Deborah Nasanga, can you please mute your microphone? Thank you. So you'll go and consider what are your aims and outcomes and learner profile you have. What are those learners you're teaching currently now? What is their dependency? What is their dependency? What learning approaches are you using currently? Based on how we have defined the other ones. Be sincere to yourself. If you're using a certain learning approach, are you using, what delivery methods are you using? What materials and activities are you deploying? We shall be able to give you that form, which will guide you individual basis. You will see to present certain examples of activities that exist when you are online, delivery approaches and things of that kind. So you'll be just ticking, you'll say probably, I think I'm doing this. It's a self-reflection, it's a needs analysis of what you're doing right now. Once you have it with you, it will be easier for you now to understand if you are doing any wrong or you are doing very right. Then we can be able to present to each other and see what we pick out of that session. But what we need to understand that it's important to always consider your learners' abilities and the type before deciding on the approach learning method to take. What are their abilities? Are they visual learners? Do they come with prior knowledge to the classroom? So you need time and self-motivation to develop rich online course content. Content that is going to impact your learners. It's not a one night and you have the content. The pedagogy you embed in, you build in, is so rich that the moment you learn what to do, even the learners will enjoy the content. At least you understand that not all content published online is appropriate for e-learning. Content that impacts on the learners is essential for e-learning to be effective. So the pedagogy is very, very, very key. I'm sure people are starting to think about what is now this transmission, all these sorts of things, but sometimes you do all these things unknowingly. But when you understand now the pedagogy around them, you can be careful on what you deploy. Okay, that is the first set of session I wanted to take you through. I'm going to just deploy something else very fast here. Can anybody see that? Do you see that, all of you? I may be talking to myself.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, okay. Okay, let's go through this before we can get into any questions of any kind. Right. Now, I know many of us, some of us in our institutions are already deploying what we call learning management systems and all that. So how do we get this content we are going to develop fit into these LMSs? And then finally, you are able to deploy and students use them and all that. We are talking about, people are wondering, oh, you're talking about activities and all that. How are we going to develop these activities in the content we are developing and all that? This is where these technologies come in to support us. Where you want to embed a discussion forum, the LMS comes and supports you and you embed it. So it is important to not to look at the content as independent from some of these technologies as you develop them, because you have a plan. If you want to engage students, how do you want to engage them? Chat session, discussion forum, and where do you find that? This is where these well-streamlined and developed systems come in to support us. And that's what we want to look at as we venture into this. I'm sure each one of you knows what an LMS is. I won't dwell so much into it, but it's a software application for administration, documentation, tracking, reporting, automation, and delivery of education ubiquitously. In a few minutes, my colleague will be actually enrolling you onto one, which you are going to use for the rest of the other training session. Okay, so you will see a sample if you've never interfaced with one. So there are several of them. There are some which are proprietary, there are some which are open source, and things of that kind. But these help us to deliver or to disseminate our content, the digital content, in the most effective way. Where I have embedded my activities, they come in so handy and help me to manage these activities. They have so much functionality, which help you to deploy those activities which we have been talking about. They can help you distribute the content, as I've already told you, group assessment, student management, customizable in whatever form. So they are really handy. And usually they are done for different purposes, either to be web, they're developed, somebody can use them as a web enhancing, either web focusing or web driven, depending on what you want to use that LMS for. So, but would really want to get into now deeper. If we decide to go on to the online mode, and we are going to deliver using transmission. When I'm talking about transmission approach now, people are not ignorant, because I've covered it the other side. So the way the content is supposed to be placed in the LMS and the way it is supposed to be done may differ from when they're doing either transactional or transformation. Okay, so what we'll find that in the content that is presented in the transmission, it will be mainly predefined and stable. It doesn't change a lot. It may not be very dynamic in the nature. That even they don't embed in instruction that either it is an I push, an I pull, or an I pull, an I push. People now are saying now, oh God, what is this I push, I pull, and all that? You can be able to deliver content to a student in a way you want. You can decide that I will give you content in bits. The way I was telling you that we are going to be training for 5 days, but we shall not give you the content all at once in 5 days. We shall give it to you in bits. So that one is called an I push. We push for you content. When you finish the first day, we push the second day. When we finish the second day, we push the third day. There are reasons for that. It depends on the type of learners, the levels, you see? But you embed that already in the technology and helps you that get done. When the second day comes, it automatically opens up. So the system is sort of pushing for you content. But we can as well do what we call I push. That we allow to do what? For you to pull for yourself anything you want. You can decide to pull content for the 5th day. which requires you to do an assessment. You go and try the assessment, you fail properly because you missed the concepts of either the third day, the second day. But because it's an eye poll, you were able to poll. So the usage under transmission of the LMS is course material and content is just distributed to the learners. The communication is more tutor or directed sort of. So it is more of teacher centered. Okay. And then the structure, it's more of a, you simply present these structured content materials, either web links or which are completely filtered by the teacher. He gives you this ABCD, read about only this. No room for people to go dig further and do all sorts of things, no. So emphasis on learning is just on the surface. What has been given to us, it's more of somebody transmitting. So it's through a procedure-directed task. That is what is done within the LMS. And procedure autonomy is required. Procedure for autonomy. And you have more of what we call a transmitter. This is a tutor transmitting information. Okay, just give me a minute. Sorry about that. Let's move into now the transaction. On the LMS, as we venture into the transaction, how do we look at the content we put in? We look at the content to have a mix of predefined and a learner-created content. You see, you give an opportunity for the learners also to participate in creating that content which is going to be utilized by the rest of the other students. And how do they create this content is dependent on the activities you deploy in there. By giving them a topic to go and dig for more information and present, you'll find there is a student that went out there, found a very interesting paper and shared it with the rest of their class. You see? This is new content that is coming in, but from the side of the student. But it's the activities that are deployed that support that sort of learners' participation, transaction to happen. So the usage of this LMS is more into a structured communication between learners, teachers, and therefore the tutors are more facilitators of all what is happening in there. So there's more of gateway to additional online materials out there. So the teachers are not really fixed on what they've given them is what the students have to go with. No, they allow them to explore and bring more information within the learning session. So as you venture into planning all that, you see all the instruction now you are embedding into your content. It's something that you've thought about and then you get it done. So the learning is more, the emphasis is more strategic. And therefore, what we are going to do in this sort of transaction, we are going to deploy a lot of scaffolded activities here and there. And these activities will be simply to engage these students to go further. There could be discussion forums. There could be group works. There could be lots of things you can deploy. As I told you, it's not a copy and paste. What you do in a specific course unit may not happen in the other. And in this, you become a facilitator, as I already noted to you. Let's look at transformation, which is the deeper one. Here, the content is fluid, it's dynamic, and much is created by the learners. The entire module can be created by the learners. And as I told you, if the course module has 12 topics, subtopics, this advisor may decide to distribute all these topics across 12 groups. And in each week, he requires a group to come and present the topic. It's all learners that have gone deeply there to dig for information. They've thoroughly worked on it, prepared it. They come and teach their fellow students. And the only task the teacher has to do is to advise. I think on that, you should have also brought in ABCD. And then they'll say, oh, okay, we take note. Oh, I think here you've actually gone so deeper. I think at this level, you need to stop here. This is the sort of, so use of the LMC is more structured, all unstructured communication happening. There's a lot of peer-to-peer discussions happening under transformation. So as you plan all this, just know, if it's actually mostly utilized at a postgraduate, master's, PhD, I would say, purely, they like using a lot of this because they know these are mature learners, so much mature learners. Probably if you utilize that the undergraduate, yes, they will struggle. But if they are able to go through it, they will become so independent learners, undergraduate level. And that's why it is, you'd sort of blend it with the strategic, with the other approach of our transaction. You blend it with that so that you get this halfway undergraduate student. But for postgraduate, you can straight go to transformation and it will give you that learner you are looking out for. So emphasis is more on deep learning, engaging learners in fully constructivist activities. That's simple. Constructivist activities. Okay? And here, we are looking at giving entire significant autonomy. Do it your own way. Come and let us know. It is a good way of really empowering the learners to become critical thinkers, those ones who can go out there and dig deeper for their learning to happen. So this is just a bit of a pictorial that when you're deploying goal-based, transmission is at the basic here, where you have more knowledge reproduction happening. But as you go upwards to transaction, comprehension starts and application. But the moment you go further up, you have more analysis and synthesis or evaluation happen. So this is the lower level going up to transformation level. But again, at the different levels, you have some of sort of activities happen. That at this level, you have more procedural activities. Here, in the middle, you have more of scaffolded activities happening at the transaction. And then when it gets to transformation, you have more of the constructivist, people being able to construct their own knowledge and bring it and share it with you. They are independent learners, deeper learners. Okay. So, as I already noted to you that in this era, what we are doing, seeing many of the institutions are doing, they're doing more of the merging of these sorts of methods so that they can get the best out of the student. Okay, so learning activities may range from either transmission, which are more procedural, transaction, which are scaffolded, and transformation, which are more constructivist, depending on what you want. So what you need to do, you need to be able to select what is the most appropriate. Is it something according to identifying learning needs and something that is in line with the course and the learner level? And also being able to ensure online components which fit the purpose are available for you to use. You may not have a learning management system, but you want to deploy all sorts of things, and you'll be wondering, how are you going to deploy them? This is where you will bring all sorts of tools. You bring WhatsApp, you will bring Facebook, you will bring all, because you don't have a management system to help you manage all that together. And this is what calls for each and every institution to have a learning management system so that they can be able to manage their education more meaningfully once they're online out there. So the analysis can be even extended further and further and further. I want to bring in Joseph in a few minutes, but what we need to really understand is that there are certain design considerations that need to be put in place as we try to put all this content together. Tomorrow we shall now dive deeper and we say, what is that renowned standard which exists that we can utilize and be able to deploy all these transmissions and whatever these approaches and delivery methods. And that's the learning object concept. Once we are able to learn it properly and we configure and we design our content in that particular form, you'll find that these things have come to be just all of a sudden you have transformation happening, or transmission happening, or transaction happening without you knowing. But you've been able to prepare and design your content in a way. So when you take all that and you now start putting it online, you find that it's so easy and so meaningful to you. Okay, so I've talked about all these, I'm just repeating them here in sort of saying, but we need to consider all these, the learning approaches, the methods to use. The activities are, what type of activities do we have? Procedural, sculptural, constructivist, which one are we deploying? Let's understand the aims and objectives and the outcomes for whatever we are doing. And let's understand, is it accessible? Is it accessible to us? Okay. So we need to be able to apply what we are, the art and the science and art of pedagogy right within our content, create the course structure and the navigation that you really need, deploy all the different tools that you have to help you achieve what you want, and then find the right resources. Finding the right sources is important. You may want to get the students to go and extract more information and all that, but where are you sending them? You can send them through an online from a course at MIT or Coursera or somewhere. Find the resource as you, the person who is sending the students there. Balance between media rich against functionality able. If you don't have a functionality that is able to give you that, what you want, avoid it. You need to be able to map out now what is available to you and what can you use it for. Once you are able to do all this together, then you are on the right track. You will use a simple design layout. You'll create a storyboard or a flowchart to guide you on what you're doing. And then you design an integrated solution that you feel that once I follow this to the dot, this layout of this storyboard I've put together, I will have a well-designed course that I can now take online. Once you are able to do that, I'm telling you, you'll have a very effective course that you'll be able to deliver online. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just presenting to you another task, which is going to require you to design your course with regard to now logistical restriction based on what has just been learned. So you're going to use graphical design approach to complete the storyboard that is available to you. You're going to transfer results of the learning needs and design analysis onto that specific storyboard. You should show consistent online approaches that you are actually using. And if you are able to do this, if we are physically meeting, we'll be able to do this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes and then present to each other and all that. But we can't do that ably when we are virtually in all places. But what we are going to do, we are going to give you all these forms. There is form 1, there is form 2, there is form 3, and then the storyboard. They are all going to be online there for you to access. When you sit down and follow the slides properly, you should be able to create this sort of understanding of how you really want to deliver your content. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, I know there is still a lot of this, but time has run out. It still goes back to what we have been talking about in transmission and all that. But for the sake of time, because we also need the other, I just want to end it by 1 or 2 slides. Understand the rationale. Why are you doing what you're doing? The delivery you are trying to make. How do you want to deliver it? When do you want to deliver it? Where would you want to deliver it from? What is that you want to deliver? Is it a learning activity? What does it require? If it's a reference material, what does it require? Look at the design. What you're designing, is it meant for transmitters, transactioners? What is it meant for? The content, what is in that content? Creation, who is creating this content, when and how? You may leave it to somebody else and does not really deploy the right pedagogy you'd want for your specific area. Remember, I told you, it is not a copy and paste. Something that may be used in ICT may not really specifically work in agriculture. Know exactly what you really want. How are you going to present this? Via an LMS? How are you going to produce it? Using a package, for example, a software in form of SCOM files? How are you going in form of multimedia? How are you going to produce it? What we are talking about is just the design. You've not yet gone into the actual implementation of the doing, because the doing, you will take all this knowledge you've acquired in the design and then deploy it under implementation, using any software, using any technology. But you need to understand why you are doing that, what you are doing. Who is your audience? What experience do they have? Prior knowledge? How can you check the understanding? When are you delivering this content? Is it during the day, weekends, and all that? What campus? All these things may come into play depending on the type of people who are out there. So this is just a sort of a comparison, but you know all that. But your obligation, as you know, use all the available technology you have with you. Encourage collaborative learning as a teacher. Lay foundation for lifelong learning. This is the deeper learning. Incorporate old and new skills that you may have. Provide real-time feedback as an advisor, as a facilitator. Feedback is very, very critical. There are so many tools, as I told you, you'll be able to interface with them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can go on and on with the pedagogy, but I think for today, I don't want to overload. That's what we would really want to have. It's the basic. Once you have this clearly understood by you, and you can be able to do a good design of your course, then it is easier for you to take it online because you know why you are doing what. I thank you. And for very few questions, and then we move into the other practical session, which is going to be carried on by Joseph. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to stop that session there, and I hope it gave you some grounding on how you can effectively design your course to go online. I thank you. Francis, or either me too, we can give it only 5 minutes of questions. And then for the sake of time, we move into the other practical session of accessing the system. Thank you.
That's fine, that's fine. So if a participant has a question, you can raise your hand and then you will be picked, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Prof, I think it seems there is no question, so you can proceed.
Okay, either you're a very bad teacher when you don't get questions, either people understood so much. So I don't know what is what, but I would want to presume that people pick something that they can go and deploy for their sessions. Colleagues, it's not hard. It's so easy, but just following the pedagogy and what it requires. If it's a certain approach, think about the delivery method. Simple. Don't confuse this. Don't apply a different delivery method against a different approach. They will not work. It is as simple as that, but it can be done by anybody, by each one of you. So at least we are here for the entire week to support you in this journey. You can ask us questions. Even after the week, you can reach out to us. We should be able to change Africa and be able to get online the way the other countries are online. Okay, thank you. I'm going to invite my colleague, Joseph, to get on board, and then we take it on from there. So by the end of the day, we would want everybody to go away accessing this online system so that you get a feel of what an LMAC is all about, okay? So Joseph is coming on board very soon. And as I said, all these slides, you'll be able to pick them from online because they are already placed there for us to utilize and take on. That's what we are going to be able to do. So ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes as we change, Joseph is coming and we'll give him 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you. The session will be, because we are supposed to end at 4:30, so it will be approximately 1 hour. It will not take more than 1 hour because that's the time we are supposed to be stopping. So I hope I answered that, Dorcas. Please give us another 1 hour.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I wish to welcome you as well to this conference. My name is Joseph Rwevuze, and we are going to move on to one of our last items as we looked at our program earlier in the day. Looking at our program earlier in the day, we're supposed to end with a practical session on the use of e-learning management system. And basically, I want us to look at the first of the first things, and that is creating an account. This will help us to familiarize with the system as we move forward. Allow me share my screen that we are going to use. And earlier on during the first session, I kept on posting some information about those who had given me their details. Wanted to create accounts for you. So I'm going to show you how it is done. It's very easy, and I'm very sure you're going to enjoy the session. I've put a message into the chat room, which is the site, and that is 8learning, elearning.8learning.org. That is what we are going to use. When you access that particular site, I want to access it. It should be able to give you the 8learning page. So I want to assume that some members, if not all of us on this platform, are already accessing this. Usually when you access this, you're going to sign into your account, and that is what we are going to create now. There are several ways we can have the account created. I'll be able to show you the first one for those who are able to give me their details. So allow me navigate to come. So I already prepared a file that I want to use, and this is for only those who are able to give me their details. The moment you prepare the file in an Excel sheet, you turn it into a CSV file or format. We shall be using many of these files as we move on. And then I want to see what we have done. We are about, I think, 17. We are about 20. Okay, fine. So if you look through here, basically for those who gave me the correct name and email address, we are not having any error. Those that are having errors are the ones that didn't give me their email addresses, because it is very important. So I'll upload those users. As a username, you have your username, and you also have your password. That is what we are going to use to access the system. In just a flash of a second or a minute, we shall have our users created onto the system. That is one way for us to have these users into the system. So you have so far had 18 people created. Only one has been skipped. We shall find out who that person is. I don't know who it is. Okay. 1, 2. Okay. So our users are already on the system now. When we go to a list of users that we have, the ones we just created are already onto the system. We have one clever person, and that is Vera Otiende. And I think that is why we've been able to have one skipped. Why? Because he had tried creating a username. So I'm sharing the same Excel sheet into the chat room, having your usernames and your passwords already are the ones we've just created. Okay. So I've put an Excel sheet in the chat room. Please feel free to access that Excel sheet. Pick out your name, your username, your password, and then finally we are going to be able to log in. If I move back slightly a bit, access to the system, it has the home, it has courses, and there are quite a number of other services, and that is what is typical of the e-learning system. We are using an e-learning, Learning Institute of Technology and Management, a link. At the bottom, there are of course several other options that we can actually get onto. One of them is how to. These are quick, quick videos. One on how to get an account, and then 2, how to join a course, and 3, how to submit an assignment. These are a few things that we shall get into, but for someone who is accessing it for the first time, they are very good leading parts of the whole session. We have a mobile app, so if you download a mobile app, you have a smartphone, you have a tab, this should be very good for you in use when you're trying to access your content. Do we have someone who didn't give us any details? By show of hands, feel free. Anyone who didn't give us details? Okay. If you had anyone who didn't give us details, or if you have anybody who is out there and wants to see how to get into the system, we said there are basically 2 ways, or 2 ways basically. One, you can get onto the system as a guest. That means you are able to navigate through most of these services, but you will not be able to access certain services because you are a guest to this particular system. Whenever you try accessing any of these other course units or courses that are available for learning, at some point it will ask you to go ahead and put in your username and password. This means that if you're not a member, then it becomes very hard for you to go ahead and access the system. Two, maybe you are going to use Mugwe. So you're going to use Mugwe to create an account for those who are not able to create accounts. That's perfect. So if you don't have an account, the first thing you'll see is that, is it your first time here? Then you create an account. So click at create an account. After creating an account, you must use or must enter these details as they appear here. So we are going to have Jane Mugwe. So we can have a username as J Mugwe. Now the password is a combination of capital letters, small letters, and usually it is 8 characters minimum. Allow me to reshare a simple whiteboard for me to take you through. We say the password must be 8 characters. 8 characters. There must be an uppercase, lowercase, characters, then digits. So an uppercase, for example, the password I gave, the universal, which is one-time password, so maybe we said Reform R is capital, then lowercase in that manner. Character can be, I gave hash, but they can range from an exclamation mark. These are all characters, so you can choose one of your choice. Then the digits will be 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Those are some of the digits that you can actually include within your password. At the end of the day, you have something like forum 1, 2, 3, and then hash. So it's a mix of capital letter, small letters or lowercase, digits 1, 2, 3, and also the hashtag. So we need to formulate passwords based on this kind of setup. Okay, so going back to our e-learning system for creating Jagwe's username, Mugwe rather. So we shall think of a password, maybe forum 1, 2, 3 hash. Forum, the first letter is capital, the rest are small. The email address is that very good one. You repeat the email address a second time. Then the first name I think is Jane, and then Mugwe. Probably is in Nairobi, and the country is Kenya. Now, once everything is correct as is, then you go ahead and create my account. So as long as everything is okay, the system will send you a communication for you to be able to confirm your details. Now, once all this is done, let me log in and show you. If you're unable to confirm your details because of one reason or the other, the system's admins will actually be there to help you confirm these details. Okay. True, I understand. So among the people we have Abasa Saka. You have your email not yet confirmed. We have Cyril. We have Florence Mirembe. So these are the people whose details are not yet confirmed. I will confirm them. Okay. So I think we don't have any other person to confirm. Let me check, just double check. Oh, we have, okay. So we are okay and we are good to go. So yes, Philip, I'm going to add you. So these are some of the users that we already have onto the system. Allow me add Philbert very fast here, so that we are able to move at the same pace. Philbert, please give us your email address. That's very good, Abbas Saka. You can now proceed. Philbert, please, your email address. Thank you. Okay. Since you are very many, allow me to request you that we create accounts, and then I'm going to confirm them right now. Okay, we also have Mwende. Feel free to ask just in case you want to find out something. Mwende.
But early diagnosis and treatments are very, very important. Right now, I run my life better. I'm becoming more frustrated. I can't just see. I'm becoming more frustrated. I'm not sure I don't know I can
Please, Cyril, can you mute your microphone? Cyril, thank you.
Okay. Susan, you already added, you're already there. Okay, let me share this list for you to see what I was mentioning. Okay. So this is the list that we have. I've sent the same list into your email addresses, into the chat room. Feel free to access the Excel sheet in the chat room and look for your name. So these are the users that we have actually created. Is Susan Ibalaba from Helen? Please unmute and let me know.
Susan Balawa is different from Helen.
Are they using the same device? Probably that would help.
No. She had another meeting, so I was just giving her email in so that she can get an account.
Okay, thank you.
She was in the morning.
Okay, can I ask Asudi? Asudi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Can you share your screen with us and you create an account together? Those who don't have accounts will probably follow with the rest with us online. Please share your.
No, but it's telling me that you should have sent me an email. It's telling me that please confirm an email should have been sent to your address at asudi.george, and I can't see that email.
Okay, let me check.
So maybe it's in your.
Okay.
Yes, you just need to confirm because I've filled.
Good. Yes, I have confirmed you.
Yes.
So is Mirembe. Mirembe is also confirmed. Friends Mirembe, you're confirmed too. I want to make sure everyone is okay before we leave this particular part. A few people have actually logged in already. This is very good. Thank you. So I think we can move to the next step. Yes.
So I have not confirmed my username.
Your name, please.
It's Cyril Anoshirike.
Slowly, please.
I think you can type it in the chat, so it's easier for you to follow.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Put your name in the chat room, please, and I check it through here. Cornelius, you should be having an e-learning account already. Can we proceed, friends?
I have not received an email, confirmation email, please. Mwende.
Mwende, you have an e-learning account. What you do,
Yes.
please check the Excel sheet I shared in the chat room.
Okay.
I shared an Excel sheet in the chat room. It has all your usernames.
Okay.
Please. An Excel sheet is already in the chat room. Please open that Excel sheet. It has everything that we need. Now, we want to be able to sign into our account. I want to use...
Professor, can you reshare the Excel sheet?
Okay, let me do
Please,
that.
thank you.
It's shared in the chat room. Have you seen the Excel sheet, friends? You cannot register yourself for any given course, and that's why we are moving a step by step.
Now, I've not yet seen the Excel sheet because I've not yet logged in. Where do we find it? Is it under course catalog or application form?
We've not yet logged in. We haven't yet logged in. We're still sharing the usernames such that we are able to log in. I've just shared this Excel sheet, the chat room. If you don't know your username, please go to the chat room, open this, you'll see your username. You have a username, you have a password. I think we are good to go. We want to move to the next step. But I want to make sure everyone has a username and password before we can move on to the next step. This is more of a practical. Okay, can we have Philibert? Philibert Musime or Martin Lubowa? Please share your... Yes, sir. Please share your screen with us. Benjamin, I'm sending your details in the chat room. Your name is already created. Okay, thank you. Benjamin, I've shared the details into your private chat. BB Yarugawa, BB. Okay, so Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir.
Please go to 8learning.org.
I was there and I got the first page that you have been sharing with us. But the problem was I getting the username and the password.
Okay, can we just go to the 8learning.org?
Okay.
Learning.8learning. I'm putting it in the chat room again. You click at it in the chat room. I put the message into the chat room. Have you seen that message for the link? Martin?
Yes, I've seen the message. And I'm already at the first page that you...
Please share with us the page. Share with us the page that you're on.
Let me share the page. You see, I was going to share, then somebody shared. I think it is the to see me way who is sharing, unless maybe that
Philbert,
person.
yes, Philbert, can we have Martin share his screen? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
That's where I am, sir.
Okay.
But I tried to log in,
and
when I try to log in, I do not know my username and password because I could not access the chat room.
Can you access it now?
Let's see. Let me see.
The chat room is in the Google, is in the Zoom, not on the platform here.
Please go to Zoom, go to the chat room of Zoom for you to be able to access the chat window.
The chat room of Zoom.
Okay, your username is M. Rubowa.
Okay, let me go to that one. M. Rubowa.
M. Rubowa, one word.
M. Rubowa.
And then your password is Ruforum. Ruforum 123, R is capital. Username is M. Rubowa.
Then
M. Rubowa is the username. Then go to password. Password is Ruforum 123 hash. R is capital.
Okay. Forum. You said forum 123.
123 hash.
Hash.
Yes, sir. M. Rubowa. R is capital for forum.
Okay. And hash. Right.
Okay, let me try it out.
Okay.
Now, if you put the details very correctly, it should be able to log you in. So this is Martin, already logged into the system.
Thank you,
So among the people you have is only Robert Tumusime and Fiona. The rest have not yet logged in. So I want to make sure that all the 44 people or the 20 people whose usernames we created are able to log in now. So I'm waiting. I'm going to repeat the login details and how we log in. In the first place, I'm sharing a screen for us to get our usernames and password. Dorcas, you're here.
Sam.
So Dina Sazi, okay. Tiende. Vio Tiende is your username, and everything is in small letters. Please note that. I want to unshare this screen so that I'm able to log in. I'm going to log in with Otiende's username and see. Go. You go to login section, Vio Tiende, and Forum 123 hash. Okay, it's perfect. It has been able to take us. Let me see. Vio Tiende.
Professor, mine says invalid login.
Okay, let's check because we must be able to log in, all of us. Hey, a good number has been able to log in. This is good. And many people are coming on board.
Estmuevas is the username. Estmuevas.
Let me finish up with Otiende. Okay, Otiende, you logged in 12 minutes ago. That means you changed the password. You're good to go. Okay, this is S to Muevaze. Okay, let's log in as S to Muevaze and we see. Forum 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's tumwebaze, we are in, so you can also sign in now.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Vera. The first learners will give us some time because we want to bring everyone on board. Okay, this is Tiende. Oh, thank you, Francis. Let's work with Otiende. That's what we are using as your password. So I'm going to update your profile. Okay, you can try logging in. There is this gentleman, there's this other person, Eucaria. Then there is Cyril, Chinwe, Benjamin, Biarugaba. We want to see you logged in to make sure that you're moving with us. Felix Mbabazi and Philbert. We've not yet seen you logging in. Otiende should be good to go now. I've changed your password to Forum 123. Okay, great. You're in. Thank you. Okay, I think this is a good number. We can now move on. Now, the moment you've been able to log into your e-learning system, you're going to come across a dashboard. I've actually been able to log in before. Let me see if I can use some person who has not logged in before. For us to be able to have a feel. I'm going to use an ID that has the same details and same account rights like we do, all of us in this room, for us to appreciate what we are going to go through. I'm logging in as him. Okay. So this is what we have. Now, the moment you log in for the very first time, you're simply going to come across a dashboard. And in this dashboard, I want to explain a few things for us to get acquaint ourselves, but also to be able to prepare for what will be coming in tomorrow. You have the navigation section, you have the calendar, and you also have the timeline. Most of us are always on social media, and our timelines are always updated, giving us updates of whatever is happening. It's the same thing that we find on an e-learning platform. You have a section for timelines. You also have a section for private files. If you communicate with your colleagues privately on the same platform, we want to see your files appear in this section. Below that, we have the online users, and this is telling us that we have about, that is 8 plus 3, that's around 13 people who are online now. In the last 5 minutes, we had about 11 that were online. Now, onto this, we're going to log in Filbert. Onto this, we have also the latest badges, and these are just digital recognitions. And then down we have a calendar. Usually a calendar gives us most of the upcoming events. And for any fully developed course, now these days, or this calendar will be highlighted different colors to show what is pending, what is due. And also down we have the upcoming section where we see all upcoming events within your course unit. This only applies to you within your course unit or your program that you offer as a teacher, as an instructor, as a lecturer. Now, we have the recent accessed courses. Because you don't have any course yet, that is why the recent accessed course section is empty. You've not accessed any course, and that's why we're having 0 results returning. Now, the course overview, that is when you're able to see a glimpse of, you're able to have a glimpse of the course that you'll be taking either as a student or a staff. Then the navigation section, that is where you're able to navigate through all your work to make sure that you're good to go. In certain circumstances, some of these programs may be written in different languages. At the top, towards the top left-hand side, we have a number of languages that you can try. If you speak French, simply go and change the language to French. Then the system will be able to read your language as we move on. Within this same section, we have these bubbles. These bubbles are to help you to be able to communicate with all your colleagues within on the same platform. Say, for example, if I needed to have Robert or Dr. Drake, simply go to the bubble section, click at Dr. Drake's bubble. You'll be given an option to type a text to Dr. Drake. And once that happens, then Dr. Drake will be able to respond back to you, and then the communication will move on and move on and move on. Our interest now is for us to be able to look at our profiles. I'm going to click at your profile. Go back to English. I'm going to click at your profile. Either your name. Your profile, your name is going to display at the right-hand section of the window. Then we have the rest of the other tabs. We have a dashboard that takes us to where we're coming from. Now, what I want to look at is a profile. So I want to look at a profile to see what happens within the profile. For those who are having problems, my colleagues are in the chat room and they're trying to help you to get to speed to where we are. So, the moment you click at your name, go to profile. Now, when you click at your name and click at profile, it takes you to your profile as an individual. This will give you a summary of your profile and a summary of who you are. One, you'll be able to see your profiles, details about your profile, details about the mobile app, but also grades, rather overview of the browser sessions, plus the login activity within your e-learning profile. For example, the first access for this very one was Monday 18th, and this is so far the last access, which is about 47 seconds ago. Because we want to be able to edit a few things within our profile, click at Edit Profile. So editing profile will give you an option to further edit your profile just in case a few things were misspelled. If your name was misspelled, you can, as long as you've gone to your first name, go in and retype your details to make sure that you put the correct details. Edit your names, even if your email address, everything. You can give us a brief about yourself, a brief about your interests, and also your other details that you may not have captured at the start of this particular session. Now, once you're done making changes, simply click at Update Profile. This will give you or will help you change your profile and reflect the changes that you would have made at this moment in time. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to briefly go back and pick some of our colleagues as well to this level where we are. Cyril, username is Cyril. They have just sent you a message, and the password has been actually sent to you in the chat room. For purposes of trying to understand, I can also take you through briefly. Go out. Okay. Username, password. Then you log in. Cyril, you're logged in. That means you're good to go. About 11 people who are logged in. This is good. Do you have any other person having issues accessing the system? Feel free. Okay, Bruno. Bruno, can you share your screen with us, please? Let me unshare mine. Can you please share your screen, Bruno? Okay, can we have Cyril share your screen with us, please? Great, Businje. Yes, Dr. Businje, share your screen with us, please. Please maximize your window. Okay. Can you go to your profile? That's okay. Profile. You can edit profile. Please make changes. Add your biography. Okay. Add the biography, add a picture. Go to add a picture as well. First add a picture. Click up the drop down arrow to add a picture. Select a picture from among your pictures. Okay. Make some additional do you have any additional name? Mpako? Philbert, we are going to try it with you. Prepare to share your screen with us. Once you're done, update profile. Okay, that name is already your email is already registered. That means there is an account associated to that particular email address, and because of that, you cannot proceed.
Yeah, I had registered using the other option of register.
Okay, fine. Can I have Philbert? Philbert, please unmute yourself. Dr. Businje, we can stop the share to give chance to Philbert to share also.
Share my screen. Should I share my screen?
Yes, sir. Please do so.
Right.
Okay. Now, Philbert, you already have a username and password. This is actually very good that we are getting to know of this. Move back one step. Click back. Okay, open a new tab. Go to the plus sign and open a new tab. Okay, go to elearning.8technologies.8learning, elearning dot elearning.8learning.org, elearning.8learning.org. Enter, press the enter key. If your screen is too small, elearning.8learning. elearning.8learning. elearning.8learning.org. Press enter. Okay. Because you're using a small device, that's why you discover that some parts here, this is appearing the way it is. Some tabs have been hidden. So, okay, better. Okay, go to login. Under username, put P to Simire. P to Musime. P to Musime.
Like this? Is it like this?
That is P to Simire.
Is it like this?
I think so, yes. P to Simire. And then your password is Nkumba123 hashtag or hash. Click at login. Something is not right. Then login. Let me try to share something.
It is refusing. Okay, are we together, members? This is Robert Musime. You go to login.
I'm looking for your username. I think most people have been able to log in. I think yours is here, Robert Tumusime. Tumusime. Let me check. Let me confirm your details. I seem not to be having your details. Let me confirm. Now, before you confirm, I mentioned about a message. There is already one here. And when someone sends you a message, this is where you pick it from. Just go at the top bar towards the right-hand side. You'll see a bubble with either 1 or 2. Open it, and we have one from someone called Robert. Now, if you want to respond, simply type back within the same message box that you opened. If the person is online, you'll be able to see online. If it is offline, you'll be able to see offline. And then you can type any communication you want to pass on to that person. And then once you're done, simply click the enter button, or you simply click here to send whatever you have written to him. Now, what the system does, it sends out a communication to the person you sent in the e-learning profile photo, but also forwards the same message to their personal email addresses. And as long as the two of you are online, the communication is very, very instant. That at the same time one is able to send a communication, one is able to get a response. Oh, thank you, Philbert. Now you're on. Thank you very much. So I want to find out if everyone has been able to update their profile, at least with a picture and any other details, because tomorrow we're going to use this time to be able to learn the system, get into the system and try to navigate the system to our best. Okay. So I have this gentleman said simply tap someone's name and type a message. Then you send the message. That person will be able to receive the message and also respond to you. And the response will be as instant. It will be very, very instant to when the message was actually sent through. So feel free to acquaint yourself with the list of a number of these details of this particular window before we can dive into more interesting things. Just check your profile, edit your profile, what is acceptable, what reflects who you are. Okay, this is Veranda Otiende. Are you still online? Check. Okay. And then you send. Okay, Lydia.
Yes.
Can you share your screen? We want to see where you get issues.
Yes, I am connected by my smartphone, but I
Okay.
try to log on my computer, but it tells me that the connection failed. So I really don't know how to proceed to really.
The failure in connection could be you've missed out either one letter or character in the password or one letter within username. So kindly cross-check what you're typing. You can share the screen with us if you don't mind, and then I'll be able to guide you.
Yes, I am making the Zoom on my phone and working on my computer to access the platform. I don't know really how to share
Were you able to log in onto your phone?
Oh yeah, I try to do it on my phone, but it is the same problem I'm meeting.
Lydia. Let me check here. Lydia. Okay, it's here. I want you to check in the chat room for your username, which can send it over.
My username is Hanilo.
Okay. So your password?
My password is ruforum123. Oh gosh.
Okay, Veranda, first request for adding you to my contacts. There is adding request to add contact, request to something like that. Lydia, I've sent you the same again. R is capital or uppercase, the rest are small letters or lowercase.
Okay, I will try again.
Okay, good. Okay, Bruno, I'm going to check for you and give you your details as well.
Okay. Okay, Rona, your details have been confirmed. As I was going through, I came across your details.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm trying to look out for Lydia's details. So I think so far the first session that we've been able to go through is very good, and I've seen a number of people have been able to log into the system. Lydia, I think would not have you. Let me see.
Yes, I'm trying to log again.
Okay.
I'm trying to log again.
It is okay. Any other person having challenges, or that is all for those who've been having challenges? Okay. Okay, should be good to go now. Lydia, should be okay. Are you able to log in now?
I'm waiting to the response. It is the same answer I'm receiving from the platform. He told me that my connection failed again.
Abbas, that message is coming in because we've not yet reached that level. So shall be able to go to that level, I think, tomorrow and the days going forward. Today we are being able to first making sure we are able to log in. We are able to edit our profiles and make sure that we are good to go.
Joseph?
Yes,
Joseph?
Professor?
I think one of the outcome for them today was to get onto the module because they already have tasks to do there. They have a form to fill in and for all what we have done for pedagogy today.
Yes, Prof.
They have
Okay,
to,
fine.
yeah.
I'm going to make it available. Lydia, your username is
Hanyelo.
Yes. Your password is Reforum.
Is Reforum 123 hash.
123 hash. Then login.
Yeah.
Hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay. So we are now logged in, and that is now you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I
So
think so far we are good to go. We are going to move on to the next item as Professor has guided to make sure that we are able to access the other parts as well. So is there anyone who has failed to log in to their work?
Please, my user details.
Okay, just give me a second. So we're now getting to go into our course. Okay. So I'm requesting that we refresh our pages, our accounts. We just do a refresh of our accounts, and as you refresh your account, you're going to have a new course unit appearing under your profile. Okay. Wanjiri. It's great. Namawije. Pierugaba. Mwebaze. Okay. Refresh your profiles, please. After refresh of our profiles, like we see, this is Lydia. We should have an extra tab now called My Courses. And within My Courses, you'll discover that your timelines have been populated now. Saturday, 23rd October, you have an activity to do. 24th October, you have an activity to do. If you move down to the calendar, those activities have been marked out as they are. Upcoming events have also been updated.
Okay.
So you have the course as it appears, e-learning content development. So if you open this course unit available now,
Okay.
you'll be able to see, being the first time you're accessing this unit, you're having a tour. So you can end this if you wish, and then you'll be able to go through some of this work as it appears here. So make sure you're able to access your different units,
Okay.
and you'll be good to go. Let me know when you have a challenge. Those who are having challenges, I'm available. Please let us know, and then we'll be able to help you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lydia. Saka, I think we're good to go now.
Joseph?
Professor.
I think we have done a great job for them, and I think we have passed 30 minutes past the time we are supposed to stop.
True.
Colleagues, I think that's the best we could be able to offer today. I am sure you are accessing the content for the first day of the session already under the system. There are discussion forums there. There are assignments there to be undertaken. As I told you, the Form 1, Form 2. So after tomorrow, you'll do a case study that will clearly support you in analyzing your module based on a scenario. And then we can move on forward. But I think this is the best we can offer today. We don't want to pump you too much. And I think being an afternoon session, it was necessary to have a practical end with a practical so that many people don't doze or run away. We have 31 still remaining out of the 57, but it's not so bad. We have the dropout rate is not so high by this afternoon. So we thank you so much for attending, and housekeeping rules. Francis, if you have anything to say, I think for us, we need to close it here.
No, there's nothing much to say. We just would like to thank the participants for their persistence, and you, the trainers, for taking the participants through all the practical steps and the earlier theoretical lessons. So we hope to receive them again tomorrow up to Friday. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, all participants. Thank you, Joseph, for that. And I think colleagues would want to allow us to go and practice what we just covered today. And tomorrow, you can raise questions where you get stuck in the days that come after. We want you to go away when you're experienced in doing this. So thank you. If there is no any question, we want to close.